to a new vlog. I have to apologise off the bat for this one. It is a little bit catawampus. It just didn't go to plan. I attempted to spend most of the Adelaide Cup long weekend in the kitchen as opposed to the garden because it was 40 degrees on the Saturday, Sunday, and then 38 on the Monday. But I would get halfway through making something or stewing something. I did a chutney and a pesto and stewed a whole lot of fruit over the long weekend and thought that I would run through my different recipes and the ways I do that, but I would start doing something and then it was just so hot that I would have to stop and come back to it later, so it's a bit stop-start, or it was just so hot that I gave up or forgot to film it. So bear with me. I will bring you some new recipes in this vlog. I was going to do a bit of a seed sowing tutorial this morning, all of the things that I will be planting for winter, but it is just so hot already, and I did that thing where I go to the supermarket and see that they're getting rid of produce in bags for 99 cents and grabbed everything I could. So I have a lot of nectarines and apricots and things to stew up today, so I think I'm just gonna head inside and do that. Well, it is officially too hot for gardening. It is pretty well too hot to do anything, but I have all of these beautiful green tomatoes from my parents' garden. So I've decided that I will use this hot afternoon to make green tomato chutney, which is a pretty simple recipe. I have it written down in a little book here. This is such a great idea because you can handwrite all the recipes, just ones that you get from people, and then it has a little pocket in the back where I keep all of my printed recipes from work people. But yeah, this is a very simple recipe, so I am going to put on a time lapse and start chopping everything up, and then I will run through the recipe with you. Okay, I know that these look so ridiculous, but they're great fun and they actually work. They are for chopping onions. They stop your eyes from crying and they are amazing. I got them from Minimax. They have pink, black, white and red. Now that I've got the pink ones, I'm already thinking I probably need those red ones for Christmas. They're just the best. Okay, we have got 2 kilos of green tomatoes, all roughly chopped, 2 brown onions, again peeled and roughly chopped, and 2 Granny Smith apples. I only put 2 chillies in because my family aren't really spicy food people, but other years I've put in 4. And then we've got 2 cups of sugar, 2.5 cups of apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of salt, and it's meant to be a cup of sultanas, but I just put the rest of the packet in because I'm not putting 6 sultanas back into my pantry. We'll give it all a really good stir and then pop it on the oven. I said oven, but I meant stovetop. You know what I meant. just going to give it a good stir on medium heat to combine everything, and then bring it up to the boil for about 5 minutes, and then bring it back down to medium heat for an hour, hour and a half, until the chutney is nice and thick, and then we will leave it at that. Now, this part I didn't film because it just got too hot, but once your chutney is nice and thick, that is when you can start spooning it into the cans. I like to put my cans into a boiling hot water bath to sterilize the cans, and then spoon the chutney in while it's still nice and hot, and then put the lids on so that they fix on real tight. Kitchen today with something that I've never cooked with before, and that is rhubarb. So this is homegrown, picked out of my garden. I also have a bunch of strawberries that I grew. So I am going to chop this all up and stew it and pop it in the freezer. I don't have any real plans for it just yet. I might do a crumble or a pie in the future, but definitely not today because I have a heap of pears that I took from work. So I have a raspberry and pear oat muffin recipe to do with you, and I'm also going to make a Cheats upside down pear cake today. So I am going to put Better Homes and Gardens on and crack on with that. So this is my 4 stalks of rhubarb, and going to say maybe about a cup of strawberries, and then I've added in 2 tablespoons of castor sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm just going to mix this until the sugar dissolves and the rhubarb stews. Look at that. You know, it has a smell that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know how to describe it. Very strange. Okay, I have been meaning to get on with this all day, but it has just been so hot. So it's 8:30 at night and we are only just starting it now, but I'm doing a pear upside down cake. So I've just combined 50 grams of butter and 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar in a saucepan and made a caramel, and then poured that over the top of some sliced pears that are already in the spring form tin. I'll show that to you in just a second. And picked up just a greens vanilla cake from the supermarket, one that didn't include icing, which was great because I have no use for it, and then it's just going in my pantry with all the other packets of icing that I've used from various things. So I'm going to make up this cake and then pour it on top of the pear and caramel mixture in the pan. Let's crack on with this. It is so hot. I could probably just leave the cake on the counter to bake. I am in an oven. So there we go. I just cut the pears up into slices and then poured the caramel over the top. Here are our pears. Here is the cake mix, and I am just going to pour this into this and then pop into the oven on 180 for about 40 minutes. Here we go. Final cake. I think it would have worked out a bit better if it hadn't have been so hot, because when I poured the caramel over the pears, it just wouldn't set. It stayed quite runny. I think it was just too warm. But it's all done and ready for work tomorrow. Thank you all so much for bearing with me and sticking through this blog. I know it was a little bit unpolished. I'm sorry that I didn't take you through those final steps with the chutney of how I would put it into the jars and can it. It just was so hot. I wanted to get it over and done with, and I just completely forgot to film that final step. I think I also mentioned the raspberry oat pear muffins. They are still to come. I just never managed to get around to doing them the other weekend, but I will do it at some point. And the rhubarb that I stewed up, I just cooked that up, then let it cool down and popped it into a Ziploc bag, and it is in my freezer so that at some point it can be used for something delicious. Again, I will show you that in the future. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me and have a wonderful week.